Hi, welcome back. Well, today's finally the day to do the one thing that everybody wants to figure out on these Selecto speeds, is how to adjust the bands in the transmission. Now, there are 3 bands on the Selecto speed. That's number 1 band. Number 2 band is right there. And then on the opposite side of the tractor, about halfway up, is number 3 band. Number 3 band is right there. Now to adjust these bands, you have to have the tractor running and you have to shift it into a few gears in order to adjust it and to lock up the locking nuts on the screws. So first thing, we'll have to disconnect the coupling for the rear end there. On this side over here, we'll have to take that stud out there, take the bracket here, flip it around, use it as a handle, and it'll slide the coupling in there and disconnect the transmission from the rear end. So let me do that. So I have it loosened up now with a 11/16 wrench. Take that out. Take the handle, or the strap here, you want to call it that, and it just fits right over that, and then you have to shift it. Have to kind of rock the tractor a little bit, kind of back and forth a little, and it'll start sliding, and then it's disconnected right now. And I can roll the tractor back and forth freely. And that's out of disengaged from the rear end right now. And I can't put it back in unless I rock the tractor back and forth and get the splines to line up to slide it back in place. And when you have it disconnected like that, it should line up with one of these slots. You probably have to flip it over, and it should line up with that one and line up with the hole again up here to hold it in place, disconnected. So I'll put that bolt back in it. There. I just have it threaded in there a little bit just to hold it. Make sure that coupler doesn't accidentally slide while it's running. So I'll start the tractor up, and I'll hold this with a big screwdriver and loosen up this locking nut here for number 1 band. And then I have a screwdriver bit on the end of an extension, 1/2-inch drive, to a torque wrench. And I'll go underneath here and I'll tighten it to 10 foot-pounds. And then for band number 1, you have to back it off 1 turn. And to adjust it while it's running, it has to be in neutral for band number 1 and for band number 2. To adjust them is in neutral. So let me start it up and get this loosened up here. If you see there, I have it loosened up, and I have it idling at about 900 RPM. It's supposed to be 800, but that's not too bad. And I'm gonna turn that screw in with the torque wrench. Let me show you that. Now I have it adjusted to 10 foot-pounds, and then I backed it off one turn. Now I have to shift it to third gear to lock that up. So that I can tighten up the locking nut. I just shifted it up to third. I tighten up that locking nut. Now I'm back in neutral, and I'll adjust the band number 2. Then after that, I'll shift it to park so I can lock up the locking nut on it. Okay, so now I have band number 1 all adjusted. I'm gonna adjust band number 2 here. I already loosened up the locking nut. It's pretty tight to this running board here. I think it's bent a little. So it's pretty difficult to turn it. So I'm gonna use the torque wrench and adjust it up to 10 foot-pounds. And then I'm gonna back it off 3/4 of a turn. That's what it calls for. And then to keep the screw from turning, I have to shift it into park. Same thing for band number 3, but I have to have it in neutral to be able to adjust it. So let me start it back up here and get this set to 10 foot-pounds here, this screw. adjusted, I have it back in park, and I'll tighten it up now. And then we'll go to band number 3 then. And now we're on the opposite side of the tractor here. This is band number 3. I'm going to start it up, and to adjust it I'll have to put it in 5th gear. And then after I adjust it, I have to back it off 3/4 of a turn, then put it back into park to be able to lock down the locking nut so that the screw doesn't turn. Let me start it up. You see, adjusting that, put enough strain on it there to make it stall out, and that just at the very end there, that was 10 foot-pounds. So now I'll have to back it off 3/4 of a turn there. Start it back up and park here. Stalled out again, I'll have to restart it. There, I got that all adjusted, and I shifted it back to park and tightened up the locking nut there. So now I'll take it out for a little test drive there and see if it acts any different. Like, if you remember what I said in the first video on this tractor, is that when you shifted it from 5th back down to 4th, it seemed to pick up speed and then suddenly slow down. So that could be why it was misadjusted there, and the other 2 screws were misadjusted also. So let me get the tripod out of the way and stuff and take it for a little drive and see if that corrected that problem. I got the disconnect hooked back up. Had to rock the tractor a little bit there, and it shifted right in. So let's start it up here and see how it operates. does that. Kind of strange. Yeah, so after taking it out there, seems to be pretty jerky when it shifts. And it still has that problem there from 5th down to 4th. Seems to pick up speed. That could be servo valves that operate those bands. It could be a little sticky, so I might have to put some kind of additive in there, automatic transmission fluid or something like that, in order to get those servo valves freed up better. Because I don't know how long this tractor has been sitting since we got it. I know at least a couple of years or so. You know, they could have got gummed up, or just gummed up from not being taken care of properly. Well, this is the next day, so I figured since we got the 871 all adjusted on the Selecto speed, I want to adjust this tractor. This is a 68 Ford 3000. Now the procedure for this one is the band number 1 is adjusted with the engine off, and it's supposed to be 20 foot-pounds, and then back it off 1 1/4 turns. And then bands number 2 and number 3 on the other side are with the engine running at 1,000 RPM, and they're supposed to be 10 foot-pounds, and then back them off 3/4 of a turn. Now, I already adjusted the band number 1 here while it was sitting here, so I'm gonna try to get those locking nuts loose and adjust these in to 10 foot-pounds. Now I'm going to disconnect the coupler just to make sure that this doesn't go into gear or anything. And on these newer tractors, it's not on this side like on the 871. It's on the opposite side. There's a big handle. Let me show you. And here's on the other side of the tractor where the disconnect lever is, right here. In this position, it's engaged. And if I move it up to that hole there, it'll be disconnected from the rear end, and I can adjust the transmission then without worrying. And back to this side again. I wanted to show where the adjustment screws for band number 1, band number 2, and band number 3 is right there. It's kind of hard to get to underneath the tractor here. I can pan up there. There's number 3 right there. It's not on the side, opposite side like the other one is. Both bands are on this side. So I'll get those adjusted up. Like I said, this one is adjusted with the engine off, 20 foot-pounds, and then back it off 1 1/4. And then these two are adjusted in neutral to 10 foot-pounds, back them off 3/4 of a turn, and then put it in park, and that locks the screws up there so you can tighten up the nuts. So let me get this all adjusted up here. Well, I just got back from running it here a little bit, back and forth and everything. Drove it around. Seems to be shifting fine, just like it did before. They were slightly out of adjustment there, the band number 2 and band number 3, but not too bad. I did drive around the 871 again, and it's a little jerky, shifting in the first 4 gears, but not horrible. Then when you get in the higher gears, 5 and up, it seems to be more smoother. But it still has that problem from 5th down to 4th gear. It seems to pick up speed and then suddenly slow down again. So I don't know if that's one of those servos in there, not releasing fast enough. Or it could be a leak on the main valve body in there too. That could be. But I'll have to look into it a little bit more. Well, that about does it there for adjusting the Selecto speeds, the bands anyways. So hopefully this helps some people out. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.